Recorded Books and One Click Digital present Rose Daughter by Robin McKinley, narrated by Bianca Amato, and directed by Teresa Bucheister. One Click Digital provides free audiobook downloads in partnership with thousands of public libraries. To see if One Click Digital's extensive catalogue is available to you, visit your library's website. And now, Rose Daughter.
Chapter 1. Her earliest memory was of waking from the dream. It was also her only clear memory of her mother. Her mother was beautiful, dashing, the toast of the town. Her youngest daughter remembered the blur of activity, friends and hangers-on, soothsayers and staff, the bad-tempered pet dragon on a leash, bad-tempered on account of the ocarunda leaves in his food, which prevented him from producing any more fire than might occasionally singe his wary handler, but which also upset his digestion, the constant glamour and motion which was her mother and her mother's world. She remembered peeping out at her mother from around various thresholds before various nurses and governesses, hired by her dull merchant father, snatched her away. She remembered, too, although she was too young to put it into words, the excitability, no, the restlessness of her mother's manner, a restlessness of a too acute alertness in search of something that cannot be found. But such were the brightness and ardour of her mother's personality that those around her also were swept up into her search, not knowing it was a search, happy merely to be a part of such liveliness and gaiety. The only thing that ever lingered was the sweet smell of her mother's perfume. Her only memory of her mother's face was from the night she woke from the dream for the first time, crying in terror. In the dream she had been walking, she could barely walk yet in her waking life, toddling along a long, dark corridor, only vaguely lit by a few candles set too far into their sconces, too high up in the walls. The shadows stretched everywhere round her, and that was terrible enough, and the silence was almost as dreadful as the darkness. But what was even worse was that she knew a wicked monster waited for her at the end of the corridor. It was the wickedest monster that had ever lived, and it was waiting just for her, and she was all alone. She was still young enough to be sleeping in a crib with high-barred sides. She remembered fastening her tiny fists round the wooden bars, whose square edges cut into her soft palms. She remembered the dream, she remembered crying, and she remembered her mother coming and bending over her and picking her up, whispering gently in her ear, holding her against her breast, softly stroking her back. Sitting down quietly on the nurse's stool and rocking her slowly till she fell asleep again. She woke in her crib in the morning, just as usual. She asked her nurse where her mamma was. Her nurse stared and didn't believe her when she tried to tell her, in the few words she was old enough to use, that her mamma had come to her in the night when she had cried. "I'd have heard you if you yelled, miss," said the nurse stiffly. "And I slept quiet last night." But she knew it was her mother, had to have been her mother. She remembered the sweet smell of her perfume, and no one but her mother ever wore that scent. Her perfume smelt of flowers, but of no flowers the little girl ever found. Neither in the dozens of overflowing vases set in nearly every room of their tall, magnificent townhouse nearly every day of the year, nor anywhere in the long, scrolling curves of the flower beds in the gardens behind the house, nor in the straight, meticulous rows within the glasshouses and orangeries behind the garden. She once confided to a new nurse her wish to find the flower that had produced her mother's scent. She was inspired to do so when the nurse introduced herself by saying, "Hello, little one. Your daddy has told me your name, but do you know mine? It's Pansy, just like the flower."
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.